Hello everyone. Welcome back to another TerrafirmaGreg Modpack playthrough. Oh, okay. Today, we're gonna take things a little easy today. Um, we're going to be focusing on some building today, like I kind of said I was going to do. Uh, I think today would be a nice day to take a little bit of break from the hardcore progression that we always do, most of the time. and uh and just focus on some decorating. Get my stream manager under control. Okay. All right. So we're probably going to be doing a lot of building, but also a lot of just generally doing things that we have been kind of putting off because they take a long time, and I haven't had uh I've been putting off a lot of things just so that I can like wait and do them later. And then later never comes. So, this thing should be mostly done. We just need to make some sails. I want to get this thing growing its trees. Wait, I gotta change my EMI. So this is just wrought iron screws. What is it? 4 wrought iron screws? Yeah. Yeah, the wrought iron screws are easy to make. I think we might have some of those rods left over. But the main thing is we need to get a little bit of wood to fill up the coke oven and get our creosote going again, just so we don't run out while we're doing other things. Yeah, I did have 2 rods. I think, yeah, because I can make the bolts by sawing the rods. And then this makes what, 2? I think it's, yeah. Yeah, so we need to get another set of rods. I'll have to empty out my inventory as well. I think I'll do that while I'm over here. I've got the chest that a little dangerous over here now. Ah, okay, we'll just ignore that for now. This is mostly temporary anyways. This is just to kind of get us our circuits going. So eventually we are going to replace that. I think that's part of what we'll do today is we'll work on expanding some of the buildings a bit. Okay. So let's drop off all the stuff over here that we don't really need, or stuff that fits with all this. Shaft, these planks. Oh, I forgot I was working on sulfur. No, I should wash this sulfur first. I completely forgot to wash this sulfur before we ended last stream. But I should wash this before I forget and then leave it in a chest somewhere and then can't find it later. I don't even remember exactly what we needed the sulfur for. I'm pretty sure it had something to do with making circuits or something. But we're gonna leave it in here for now because... Hello, hey, Robo, how's it going? Let's see. I'm gonna cover up some of these gears real quick so that they look slightly less intimidating. Okay. Yeah, I think we're definitely focusing on building today. I want to do building. All we've got to do is finish up this tree farm thing. And I say building, but I really mean like all the projects that I've been putting off forever. I know there's a couple tools um I need to make. Yeah, man, I'll be real with you guys. It's I'm always so surprised and so delighted that you guys stay up so late to watch me. It makes me feel very special. Let's see. Okay, I need planks and stuff. Although then again, I don't really know much about. I don't know if it's like, is it just common in your guys' culture to just? Okay, but like that's pretty late to be joining a stream that lasts until midnight for you guys. Like, I'm more impressed with the people who stay all the way to the end and live in Sweden because they stay until until it's basically midnight. Let's see. And then let's put up grab my planks. Okay, and I'll empty out my inventory as much as I can because we are going to need this stuff to um make other stuff. Yeah, I was going to I was gonna ask because like I don't know enough about your guys' culture if it's just really common for people to stay up so late, if that's just like a cultural thing, because I don't know, in America it's not super common, I guess. People do it, but it's like most people don't. So let's have one durability left. That sounds about right. Ooh, I still have my my debug stuff on. I'm gonna need to make another spindle. Yep. Okay, spindle. Is there really no other way to make this? Yeah, the wire mill can make it. We need that wire mill. But we're not gonna do that today. We're gonna make another spindle. Doot, doot. Although one of the things, man, my partner and I keep talking about uh wanting to 6 hours. You know, I'll be real with you. I'm kind of the same way. I my brain does my brain does weird things where like I'll get if I don't have to maintain a schedule, that's kind of how I am. If I do maintain a schedule, which I've been maintaining a schedule more recently because my partner goes into work sort of early, not like super early, but sort of early. But I wake up at 7 a.m. every day regardless of when I went to bed. My body just once my body gets used to waking up at a certain time, it's like, oh, we're going. It doesn't matter if you stayed up till 3 in the morning playing on your Steam Deck. We're going to be waking up at 7 a.m. sharp. Let's see. I'm sorry, 0300 for you guys. You guys, I think it's so funny to I think it's so funny to like point out those kind of things where it doesn't matter. If we're in AM, it doesn't really matter for military time. Uh Always sleep about the same amount unless you set an alarm. Yeah, man. I sleep has never been a kind mistress to me. I envy my partner and their sleeping habits. They sleep for long amounts of time. I can't. And also they have the enviable trait of being able to fall asleep instantly. Uh, it's it's not fair. But they go to sleep and then they're just out immediately and gone for the rest of time. What do I need to eat? I've got pretty full on most things. A little bit more grain, but about it. Take 3 tomato and some tofu. I probably should cook up some more because these tomatoes are about to go bad. We could always do canning. Actually, canning might be a good idea. Because I have materials to do some canning. They store up to like 8 tomatoes. Uh, 1 And speaking of eating, I also need to eat. I've got some food next to me I need to munch on. Melatonin supplements. Yeah, I tried those. They never really did a whole lot for me personally. I never really noticed any sort of difference in my sleeping habits when I was taking melatonin, so it's probably just something with me in particular. But maybe I should try it again. I haven't taken melatonin in a long time, so maybe my body's different now. Yeah, circadian rhythm is like a really crazy thing. It's one of the things I really don't like about um one of the common complaints I've had for forever since I was a little kid um was how our society um is very geared towards only specific types of people. Like if you aren't a morning person, then oh well. At least here in America. I don't know how work culture is where you guys are. Don't need anything to help fall asleep. Often pass out. Yeah, see, that is I envy you. I envy you so much because I'm the kind of person that sits and lays awake at night, just not being able to fall asleep. Uh, okay, rice grain. We gotta cook up a lot of these. We gotta cook up a lot of these tomatoes. And I didn't need to move these. I didn't need to move them. Let's see. But yeah, I've always been somebody who my natural rhythm tends to keep me up a little bit later than most other people. Honestly, I tend to be up until about midnight as well if I have my way. Heck, even nowadays, even though I wake up fairly early, I still tend to stay up until like midnight, or I try to get into bed. Well, okay, so I try to get into bed by like 10, but then that doesn't mean I'm going to sleep, you know? Um, I don't know. Just my mind races. It's not even like with anything. It's not even that I'm just like most of the time. I guess sometimes I do get anxious, like, like everyone else. There's a lot of stuff to be anxious about. Um, but it's not like I get super anxious or anything. It's just my body's just like, no, we're just too many thoughts. Too much going on, It's uh I got to think about stuff all the time. Okay. Usually have sound in the background. Yeah, I'm so I don't need necessarily. I don't necessarily need sound to fall asleep, but it definitely helps. I'm one of those people that tends to have like something on in the background. Like I'll turn on the TV. Recently I've been doing a lot of Netflix, but I used to do a lot more YouTube, but man, they got so crazy with their ads, and like you'll be listening to a video and like almost falling asleep, and then YouTube will play like a 30-minute ad that's like 2 notches louder than what you were listening to previously, and it just wakes you back up. And so, I'm not too happy with the way YouTube's been recently. Okay. Because this stuff lasts for 6 days. So we're gonna keep doing soup. My tomatoes are going out of date in a day. That sound like YouTube prevents my brain. See, that's yeah. See, that's what I was gonna say that I got sidetracked again. Um, yeah, that's definitely how I am too. Having that little bit of noise in the background really like it gives me something for my brain to focus on so it's not like constantly bouncing all over the place, like you said. Glue. Where would I put glue? Probably in the animal section. Oh, where the heck did I put my glue? It's probably in one of these other random chests. I know I have glue somewhere. I need glue to make more bowls. It's not in my inventory, is it? No? There it is. Uh, let's do 2 more sets of bowls. Oh boy. Okay. More tomatoes. Okay, we're eating our hearty tomato rice tofu soup. More fuel for the fire. All right. Now I'll have a full I'll have a full container of food, and this lasts for 12 days when it's in a vessel, so this should last us quite a while. And I think I'll try to figure out something to do with the tomatoes. Exposure to blue light before bedtime can lower the creation of melatonin in the brain. I've heard similar things. I don't know if I would have been able to recall that particular statistic off the top of my head. But I do know that blue light can really harm your ability to fall asleep. That's why I have the nightlight mode on most of my devices, so that I don't even really use I try not to use my phone. I have my phone set up to like lock me out of most apps after a certain time, so that I don't go scrolling too much on social media or something when I'm supposed to be going to bed. But I have like the nightlight mode, and I also even like I filter out a little bit of blue light by default on my computer. So what I see when I'm looking at the screen might be slightly different from what you guys get, because I filter out a little bit of that light by default. Appointment to start administration for ADHD. Sadly, the local clinic is severely understaffed and overworked. They'll try to give me an appointment by the summer, but no guarantees. Man, that sucks when places are understaffed like that. I think it really sucks, especially when it's healthcare related stuff. Because like obviously like I'm sure. Well, actually, I don't know. I don't know how clinics are with for you guys and like how much they do, but it's pretty dangerous for medical personnel to be tired all the time. Oh yeah. Is it how about is it, cuz that's something a lot of my fellow countrymen they say that's the reason we can't have socialized healthcare is because of the wait times, but I'll be real with you, over here there are no wait times because you just don't get to see a doctor. Yeah. No, that sounds about right. Um I mean, obviously, the more specialized it gets, it's more of it kind of comes down to an issue of like, there's literally just nobody who's qualified for that kind of work. You know, I wish we had better. I wish we had better stuff for medical personnel in general. I know, like, obviously, it's gonna be different for you guys than it is for me, but I think the world overall doesn't appreciate healthcare the way that it should. There was a big issue in my country, at least, where a lot of people that were going into healthcare related fields, it became a very popular field to go into because people wanted the money that you get from healthcare, because the healthcare jobs, at least in the past, I don't know if this is necessarily true anymore, but in the past, healthcare jobs were pretty well paying. I would argue that even in the past, they probably weren't worth the amount of time you spent working, but they were still pretty well paying, so people would go into them for that. And I don't, it's it's definitely one of those professions where you probably shouldn't be going into it if you aren't like you shouldn't be going into healthcare for the money, you know? The thing here is healthcare prioritizes critical issues first, so things that can wait. Yeah. I mean, and it does make sense. It really sucks for those people that need those services, and I would say that like our like healthcare in general tends to prioritize, or they don't see certain issues as much of a priority as they should be. Like they're going to prioritize things that are like overtly very like obviously need to be taken care of now. But when it comes to things like when it comes to mental health especially, um uh, we tend to have like we just kind of like ignore, like we don't think it's as big of a deal as it actually is, you know? Like people will oh, I need super glue. Like mental health definitely doesn't get the respect that it deserves. Especially here in the States. Oh man. Oh man. For some reason everybody in the States says, "Oh, it's not, guns aren't the problem, it's a mental health issue." And it's like, "Well, are we going to do anything about the mental health issue?" No. Have to wait 7+ years for their first appointment to the gender clinic? That's insane. That's crazy. That is definitely unacceptable. Uh because like with a lot of gender stuff, like, that's definitely a bigger issue than something you can put off for, you know, 7 years. Yeah, that needs to have higher priority. Yeah. Yeah, I know, right? I mean, same here. People in the States, like we self-medicate out of necessity, but I mean our trans and gender fluid or whatever people who require HRT, a lot of them tend to self-medicate or buy cheap medicine from other countries, which I guess is kind of a form of self-medication. I mean, you're the one deciding the dosage, so as far as that goes. What did I need? I need iron. Didn't I need something else from over here? I'm sure I'll remember it later. Yeah, man, it's really sad how much healthcare personnel in general, and I mean it's one of those things where like it kind of goes back to the whole um what happened here? Why is this? Oh, right, it's not running because it's the wrong month. Probably it's summer. But yeah, mental health gets ignored way too much. I would even say that like mental health is probably more important than a lot of other things with like physical health. Like because mental health directly affects your physical health is the big thing, you know? Employments and understaffing leads to people that doesn't push hard for their issues. Yeah, it sounds like you're probably having the same issue that we have over here with most of our stuff in general, where um, everybody it's a skeleton crew. So like part of the reason why they're so understaffed is because like here in the States, the part of the reason why our healthcare professionals are so understaffed is because um they just get burned out. Like our system like chews up and spits out medical personnel. And so you end up with a skeleton crew of people who like are newer, and like even with like things that are seen as like unskilled labor, it's crazy that people like corporations are like that we accept this kind of like skeleton crew type way of doing business, because like it's harmful for everyone. Let's see. Private clinics to get the blood tests and subsequent medication they need, but 7+ years, and the cost can get quite high. Yeah, that makes. Yeah, that's really unfortunate. That's really sad to hear. Um, it is really sad. Super glue. Um, Yeah, oh, that's right. I needed a trapdoor. That's what I needed. That's why I advocate to privatize healthcare clinics so that the government, completely government-run ones, get sufficient funding. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with that. I don't think that healthcare. I don't think there's no there like I was saying earlier with like the people who are like the medical personnel that go into the job, like join the profession for the money. Like it's not a profession that should have anything to do with money. Like people's healthcare, eh, eh, the health of the people is the interest of the state, in my opinion, right? You need as a government, as a nation, you need people to be healthy so that they can do the jobs and the labor that you need them to, right? It's an investment in the entire society to have everybody be healthy and happy. Because like being happy is also part of being healthy, in my opinion, right? Like you need to um if you're not happy, you're not going to be healthy. Okay, I need saplings. And that's a proven fact. There's studies on that. Stress levels, cortisol, whatever, all those sciencey terms, really just boil down to people who aren't healthy or aren't happy, aren't healthy, both mentally and physically. Yeah. Uh, and you can see like the extreme examples of how that for-profit system can ruin everything in my country, because we have everything is privatized over here. That's not 100% true. We do have some socialized healthcare, though there's really no telling how long that's going to last. Saplings. I want maple. Yeah, there we go. Plenty of proof that the body stays healthy if you get a healthy mind, and the reverse too. Yep. Yep. There's lots of evidence for it. Um, let's see. I'm the fastest I know to go through all the appointments to get diagnosed and get medication through the government, and all in all, it took 3 years. That's good. I'm glad you were able to get all of that done within just 3 years. If it typically takes that long, um, it's really great you were able to to get that. But that's frustrating that other people weren't able to have the same luxury. I didn't filter you. Stop. I didn't filter this. I need you to have that filter on. And guess I'll just put this in here. But yeah, it's one of the things, it's frustrating. I hate how I hate how I hate how we don't take uh people's health seriously, and including all the and like realistically it shouldn't be that big of a deal. I don't know how it is with you guys with I know we're talking about so we're talking about like gender um stuff. Okay, I'm not gonna bother looking through it, but I don't know how you guys are with your like gender-based care. But it's crazy because like realistically there's no reason why it should take so long to get approved for anything. Like if you want to do HRT or stuff. See, okay. I my radical my radical beliefs that I have. Um I believe that if you're an adult, you should be able to do whatever you want with your body, as long as you're given like as long as you know like the risks and everything, like as long as you're told like the consequences of what you're going to do, like whatever you want to put in your body. um then like I think it's really none of my business what you do. Like I'm one of those people like as long as everybody is an adult and can give informed consent about a decision, I don't care what you do. Do whatever you want. It's none of my business, you know? Yeah, I think everyone has a long way to go when it comes to gender care. We're just now getting to the point where people are like accepting trans health issues as issues, right? And like it really is a silly thing because like I've while I've talked with people. Oh yeah, I read up a little bit on your guys's your LGBT history and the history of stuff. I was surprised to hear that your country did like essentially forced sterilization for trans people for a long time. Uh which I'm pretty sure my country probably did too. But it was kind of a surprising thing to hear. And it I mean it really does fundamentally come from like misunderstanding trans people and like, how they work. Yeah, it took a while for you guys to get rid of that, but you're still like on the still ahead of the curve compared to a lot of other countries. Yeah, yeah, like it was a pretty common practice. But I was surprised that with how progressive you guys are in general that it took so long. Which, like I said, it's still way ahead of the curve compared to like most other nations because like in I mean in the States we didn't even have gay marriage until 2015. So uh we've been we've been pretty behind the times on most things most of the time. Crazy how my country is supposed to be the leader of the world, but it seems like we're always lagging behind everybody else. Except for guns. We're pretty good at that. Let's see. Okay, I got that done. I'm gonna make myself an axe. I'm gonna make myself a blue steel axe. And I don't think there is... Okay. How do I make a chainsaw? I don't have electricity. Why am I trying to make a chainsaw? Um, yeah, I'm just gonna make myself a blue steel axe. I gotta melt those double ingots we had. Yeah, let's melt these double ingots. I'm gonna make myself a blue steel axe, and we're gonna go hit some trees. I'm gonna speed through the trees. We're gonna speed run cutting down trees. I don't remember why I wanted to cut down trees, but I know it's I know it's within me. I want the trees to be cut. Yeah, and like I was saying, it's crazy to me that oh my god, you are so right. I really do need that stupid bucket. I said like what 2 weeks ago I was going to get the bucket soon, and I still haven't done it. Did I come over here? I need a what does it take to make a bucket? It's just a double plate, isn't it? Oh, it's just a single plate. Even better. I can do that. I can do that. It's not hard. And then I just weld the two together. I can do that. That's easy. Um but yeah, no, it's crazy to me because like I've always been of the mind that like um people should just be like if you're an adult, you should just be able to do whatever you want. I don't see why like as long as I'm not hurting anybody, the government has no business in what I do in my own home, you know? Um You know, I don't even care if like a person is like quote unquote hurting themselves. Like there are so many things that people say because like you end up with such a slippery slope by like having the state be like that invested. I think there should be resources for people who are going through things and like are exhibiting health self-destructive behaviors, but that doesn't mean like you don't get to decide what is self-destructive for another person. Like everybody's life is different, and what could be self-destructive for one person could be perfectly healthy in another person. So like you shouldn't it doesn't matter. It's their life anyways. Who cares what they do with it, as long as you're not hurting someone, you know unless they unless as long as you're not hurting someone without their consent. Ugh, I'm 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 munching away on my breakfast while I wait for stuff to heat up. But I've always held that belief, you know. I've always it's crazy. It's crazy how much people want to meddle in other people's lives. I wish people were more empathetic and less misinformed about what's actually happening. True. Misinformation is probably the biggest issue when it comes to stuff like that. Because I mean, like, here's the thing. I talked about some of my fellow countrymen, uh, and some of my fellow countrymen can get pretty hateful. But I've gone far enough to like kind of defend some of the actions that some people take, because all those people that do all that stuff, the hateful stuff about LGBT people and all that stuff, the thing is, they believe they're helping, you know? And that's something that we kind of have to accept, that like, even though you and I can sit here and we know that like they're not helping, right? We know they're causing way more harm than anything else, but on some level they do believe that they're helping, and it's because they're misinformed, you know. Like, they follow some sort of ideology or some sort of structure that says that what they are doing is helpful, and it's just wrong. It's false. They've been lied to. That's the thing I try to tell to people that have those kind of mindsets. I feel bad for them because they were lied to, you know. Like, you have been manipulated into being a hateful, miserable person, and it's like, on some level it's not your fault, you know. Like, personal accountability and everything, but like, people be out here getting um falling for blatant lies, and it's like I said, it's not their fault, because and in my country there's there's nothing really against lying to people. So like, it's not necessarily their fault that they've been indoctrinated into hegemonic systems of oppression. It's a really sad state to live in, you know. Let's see. Upset plus 13. That's 10. Okay, so I need 12. So I do 2 medium hits. Yeah, 2 medium hits. We gotta remember that. 2 medium hits. But, you know, at the end of the day, you can't really tolerate intolerance. There is a point where it doesn't matter if you've been, if it doesn't matter even if you are not 100% responsible for the way that you think. At the end of the day, you are still causing harm, you know? It's just, I feel it, and maybe it's because I've lived in a lot of these areas where a lot of this hateful rhetoric tends to germinate, and because I've lived in parts of the American Deep South before. Shortly, it becomes their fault when they refuse to even listen to anyone else. Yeah, it does. I mean, the thing is like, this is the same thing with like, this is the thing that like, I've heard people talk about this when it comes to like mental illness and people who try to excuse their behavior because of their mental illness. It's not necessarily your fault that you're the way that you are, but it is your responsibility to deal with the consequences of your actions, right? Helping, but there's also people who are helping themselves by hurting others. There definitely are people out there who are legitimately just who are just in it for the love of the hating game. And those, let's see, medium hit, 2 medium hits, upset, hit, punch. Masterfully forged blue steel axe. This thing is going to blaze through trees. Um, but you're right. I mean, and this is a nuanced take, right? There are people out there who definitely deserve all the vitriol and the hate that comes towards them because they themselves are, um, yeah, because they themselves are hateful people. Oh, shoot. Hold on. I need to make these into buckets first. I forgot. Bend, bend, bend. That's 21 plus 21. I can hit plus 21 with a draw and a medium hit. Oops. Draw, medium hit, bend, bend, bend. And like I said, this is a more nuanced take. I'm not necessarily saying that I'm not saying this is like true in all cases, and you still have to you can't tolerate intolerance because it just allows it to go. And like some of those people that are trapped in the hateful rhetoric actually do need. See, look, I got the bucket now. See, we got the bucket. It just took a Wednesday to do it. Um, but like these people that are trapped in that hateful rhetoric, sometimes they do need the tough love and being told they're idiots in order to break free from that. Like there's a lot of that. It's just like I said, I've lived in some of these areas that are most affected by this kind of rhetoric, and I've visited these places and I've had friends that have lived in these places. And um the American South has been deeply, deeply affected by all of this hatred, and the powers that be, government and corporate entities, um, they they trick they trick the people into perpetuating systems of hate and systems of oppression, even though those systems don't actually like help the people who are perpetuating them, right? Like, uh, dude, it's crazy, man. I I read a story. There was a news story. Okay, hold on. Before I delve into this news story, we have to be excited about this axe because I want to see. Oh, look at that. That's fast. That's a fast axe. Okay. Um, I saw this one news story of an elderly woman here in the States who didn't realize that her health care was being subsidized by the government. Because here in America, um, we have a mostly for-profit healthcare system, but there is still some socialized healthcare because, you know, kind of just need it for a for society in general. It turns out it's really hard to take care of the people if you're not taking care of the people. And there will always be people who require assistance from the government in order to have their needs met. But this woman, she didn't realize that her healthcare was being subsidized by the government, and when she found out, she told them to take their money back. She said, "I don't want to be living off of welfare," and it's because the corporations and the politicians have convinced this woman that it is a moral failing to have the government help you, right? This is actually how these people believe. They believe that you have failed on a moral level if you accept government assistance for anything, right? And these people are even willing to like, and it hurts them. Our red states in the United States, the ones that are run by the political right, the conservatives, those states have by far the worst like time. They consume the most money. They consume this is crazy. This is a crazy statistic that's true. Um the red states in my country consume the most in government aid, despite being the ones who are constantly arguing against it. Right? We have this crazy thing that happens in my country where the healthcare, like things like healthcare and food stamps and assisted housing in red states is subsidized by our blue states because our red states don't actually like make money for the government. There are places where like lots of corporations exist and where lots of corporations make money because the those states they give lots of tax breaks to rich people, so they make corporations a lot of money, but they don't make the government a lot of money because the people in those states tend to be our poorest people, right? This is like actual like statistics. Like you look at a map of like this stuff in the United States. Red states have far weaker economies and aren't able to actually support themselves. So large blue states that do have the economy to support themselves are actually like subsidizing the lives of the poor people in these red states. Poor people in red states in the United States would not be able to survive without, California tax dollars or New York tax dollars, right? But like at the same time, the people in charge have convinced them that uh the people like the fellow workers are their enemies, right? They've convinced them of all these crazy things, like there's like a moral issue with taking with having assistance, and like all these crazy ideas stem mostly from like corporations. You know what? I think they would be. This is this is something that I was thinking about um the other day too, is that um because I've talked about how like these people that spread hate are the most miserable people you'll ever meet, right? They're not happy about anything. You can't make them happy. There's nothing that you can do to make these people happy aside from like I don't know. Even if you started doing the most horrible stuff that they say they want, I don't even think they would be happy after that. They'd probably find someone, because like I mean they're the ones who are going to get affected by it anyways. Um, but like you can't make these people happy, and like far like conservative ideology and like ostensibly misogynistic patriarchal society um removes joy from life. This is like a crazy thing. They'll sit here and like they'll argue and they'll be all like, yeah, oh, it's silly for you to be happy about having an axe and a bucket in a video game." But it's like, I don't know, man. Maybe if you had an axe and a bucket, maybe you'd be happy too. Have you tried it? They don't want to be happy. They want to fight people that doesn't agree with them. True. I don't even think they care that much about if you agree with them or not. They just want to fight everyone, you know? Like these people, we saw this uh when the election happened, because like there were very different responses to losing the election, because in 2020 when Trump lost his re-election, they like conservatives threw a fit. They were storming the Capitol, and they were complaining online about how the election was stolen. And I remember like during that time, one of the common talking points, because like people would be like, "Hey, maybe you shouldn't be doing this," and so the conservatives would be all like, but but if this happened to you, you guys would be all upset and be like burning stuff down and all that." But then, lo and behold, in 2024, it happens, and the left in our country just didn't do that. We just said, okay, well, I guess, whatever. Uh, this sucks, but I guess the people voted for it, which there's a lot of conspiracies going around about how true that is. But the left mostly just accepted what happened and like started to disengage from political conversations online, because at this point, the left is tired. The left just is tired of fighting a fight that is unwinnable, it seems. Not to say that people have completely given up hope, but it's tiring to constantly fight. And um and the right got really upset about that and started like turning on each other because they didn't have anyone to fight with anymore. Because the left is just like, okay, well, we're just gonna leave and go do something else and try to like take care of ourselves and take care of our communities. And the right got really upset about that. Let's see. We're talking about this, and Ramstein America starts playing on my Spotify. That's funny. I don't think I've listened. I've heard the popular song with Ramstein, the Du hast. Um, but I didn't really listen to most of their other music. They're very popular here in the States though. Among metalheads, very popular band. Let's see. But yeah, it's crazy. These people just want to fight, and it's on some level it comes from a place of like constantly having to fight, like, because a lot of these people who make these arguments a lot of times, I mean, there's like a it's like a two-pronged thing with it's a two-pronged thing with the right, because you have the privileged right, like the not even just the elites, but like the middle class. You have the privileged middle class which supports the right because, well, mostly because of racism. uh and then you have the poor class, the lower class people who are also tend to be very right wing. And it's crazy because like the poorer people, the lower class, for them it only hurts them. All this rhetoric and all this stuff, because like the thing is, like, the rhetoric is all smoke and mirrors anyways, right? Like, it's unfortunate, and I mean it does feel a little bit reductivist to say, or like diminishing to say that, to say this, but like they don't really care all that much about like the gender politics and stuff like that. They just want to give their audience someone to like target so that they can be busy attacking people who don't deserve it while they go and like ransack the government or whatever they're doing. Let's see. Okay, so I have my axe. I have my bucket. Been pretty good so far. This is a good day. Um, I need. Let's see. What should we work on? I should probably work on finishing this back area. I'm gonna. Ooh, I'm gonna. Okay, I'm gonna get some parity. I'm gonna fix. I'm gonna fix up this. I'm gonna fix up this warehouse a little bit. I think I want some parity where we have the bottom be lined with bricks, and the rest of it be the wattle. So let's make some. Let's make some rhyolite bricks. Uh, Cobble. I need to make some more mortar as well. Oh, okay. Actually, we have tons of rhyolite rocks lying around. But like, I don't know, man. A lot of stuff that's been happening has been upsetting. It's nice getting to come and vent to you guys, though. Uh, uh, Sadly, the only way that anything will start to somewhat change in the U.S. is if donations to election campaigns is banned. It's basically legalized bribes. You're correct. You're very correct on that. I don't think that that in and of itself would necessarily fix our problems, but it is one of the things that must be changed before we can truly move forward. It's a major issue in our, yeah. It'd be a pretty good start. I have a few pet issues of mine that I think would fix a lot of things in America. Um, but personally, I'm of the opinion that, and it really sucks because this is the thing, they're cutting funding for all this. Hold on, is it 32? How do I make mortar? Um oh, okay, yeah, I can just do 32. Um for me, my biggest issue is education. I see a lot of the issues with my country as an issue of a lack of education in most cases, because I think that people overall, I don't think that people. I think that like if people had better education, they would be much less likely to fall for the kinds of lies that have been getting perpetuated. But that is kind of a longer term goal, I think, because like it doesn't do anything for the people that are currently in our system, unless we just made. We could just make it so that education was free for everyone, and you could just go back to school if you wanted. That's actually probably probably a good idea now that I think about it. Uh, 0.5 seconds. Both of them take 0.5 seconds. Yeah, no, we talked about this on one of the other streams, but our our voting system doesn't really work, and partially it's because the idea of the election system that's generally known as first past the post, where whoever gets the most amount of votes wins, um, tends to inevitably lead to a two-party structure because anybody who comes in and tries to be a third party simply takes votes away um, from the other party, the majority party that is closest to them. We saw this in 2016 with Bernie Sanders, and even though he didn't mean to do it that way, and he wasn't running as an independent, um, but it's called the spoiler effect because like somebody like Bernie Sanders comes in and splits the party, the left side of the political spectrum, and while probably not the only factor, it did play a big part in why Hillary wasn't able to win in 2016. So I'd like to see us move to a ranked choice voting system. And some of our states over here have been moving towards that, which is a really good step forward. But the big issue is that people the issue is that all the states where that kind of election reform is getting passed um aren't really they're not really the places that need it, you know? Like places like Oregon have have switched over to a ranked choice voting system, and Oregon's like one of our bluest states. It's not really the state where like election issues are really that big of a deal. Like it just doesn't happen as often over there. Places where we also need to get rid of like gerrymandering, and like districts should only be the voting districts should honestly only matter for like your local stuff. Here it's just, oh, you made a party and you have 4% national vote. Come in and seat parliament for you. That's really cool. I wish we had stuff like that. I wish we had stuff like that here. Um, I could get 4% of the population of Sweden to follow me, right? I could join politics. I could have a seat in parliament. Um, but yeah, I wish we had stuff like that here. Because like even aside from our first past the post system, which inevitably leads to a two-party system, we don't really have a whole lot of like our country's just not set up for multiple parties. Like it's kind of crazy the way that the two parties work in our country, and the things that they're allowed to do and get away with. That um you know what, I think, hold on, you know what needs to be in this game? They need to make it so that you can stain the waddle using a barrel recipe. Maybe I should add that. It probably wouldn't be that hard. I've just got to find the exact commands and everything for Cube.js. But I really should, because you can get the unstained waddle as an item if you break it. And there really should be a recipe. It really should. Yeah, because, yeah. Like, see, look at this stuff. This stuff has the chemical bath and the sealed barrel recipe. Waddle should as well. Um, but yeah, no, I personally think that if you're going to have a representative democracy, you kind of need to make sure that, like, everybody gets represented. And I think that really does mean, like, down to the smallest groups. I mean, obviously you don't want the small, like, certain small fringe groups from completely running out of control, but I think that everybody does deserve to have their opinions heard on a political level. Um, with an asterisk, there are probably some people that they're not here to engage in politics in good faith. They're just here to make things worse for everyone else, and those people probably shouldn't be given a seat at the table. But yeah, it's a crazy time for the world in general. I'll be real with you, the thing that upsets me the most, the thing that yeah, true. I think 4%'s a pretty good. I think 4%'s a pretty good one. It's a pretty good point of it's a pretty good threshold. That's what it is to meet, because 4% is enough to where um you're probably not like super duper ridiculous, but it's still, you can still get enough people to represent, because like 4%, you guys have like what, 10 million people in 4% of 10 million. Um, three times 0.04. So that's 400,000 people. That's the population of a moderate sized city. So if you have the population of a moderate city following you, then yeah. Okay, let's get some rocks in here. We'll just do a little bit at the start, I think. Yeah, I've always loved because there's quite a few countries that have similar systems, and I've always preferred those. Yeah, true. I guess because what, Stockholm has like what, 10% of your population, and that's only like a million people. Oh, look how fast this thing just cuts through this like butter. Yeah, over here that's a moderately sized city. We have ridiculous cities though. We have mega cities that like span like hundreds of miles, you know? Like I don't know like how much space the LA metropolitan area takes up, but it's a lot. Heck, I accidentally cut through the ground. I forgot to, okay, that's okay. I forgot to take note of what that sign said, but that's okay. We need to make those navigation tools so that we can um well, do a lot of things. Okay. But yeah, and then we have like New York City here, and New York City's a little ridiculous in all honesty. Why is this like this? Oh, okay, that's right, because I put it the wrong way. Like New York City is an absolutely massive metropolis. They have people crammed into that place. Real bad. I messed up when I was making this, and for some reason all of this is bottomed with oak slabs. It's a little crazy to think about. But then I think about how China has pretty big cities too, and it makes me realize that even though we have big cities, we don't even really have that big of cities compared to places like China and India. It's truly insane how large cities can get. It's like the Warhammer 40K stuff. The hive cities. And what I mostly know about this. I mean, it appears in a lot of science fiction, but I mostly know about this because of Stellaris. But like the idea of an Ecumenopolis, a city that spans the entire planet, crazy. I don't know if humanity. Well, I guess with Ecumenopolises, they don't necessarily have to be populated that densely. Yeah. Um, because like yeah, you could have a city that spans the entire planet, but like a lot of it be more rural area like farmland. And it would, I guess you could still count it as part of the larger metropolis itself. Yeah, personally, I'm not the kind of person who could ever live in a large city like that. I've never visited New York. I'm sure I'd be fine if I had to, but I don't think I'd be very happy um living in a place with well, I don't know. I guess if it was done properly. One of your first games, that is quite a commitment to be one of your first games. Um Stellaris, I love Stellaris, but it's also, yeah, I can imagine it's confusing for most adults. um, Stellaris is one of those games where it's like one of my favorite games, but I can't recommend it to anybody because of the way they like monetize the game and how it's like The Sims where like you get sucked into it and now you're spending like, $100 every year or so. Yeah, I really like that they added what was it? They added individualist robotic empires so you don't have to play as a machine AI. And I've been liking that a lot. I I don't like managing food, so if I can just have everybody consume electricity, that's good for me. Okay, I need more bricks. Um and all right, we're almost ready on this. Looking forward to the 4.0 update with revamped pop system and such. I haven't heard anything about that. I as much as I love Stellaris, I really don't keep up with it. And it partially is because, man, I just don't have the heart to keep up with it. I don't need to know when I'm going to have another $20 extracted from my wallet. Forcibly, I guess. I got into Stellaris kind of late, so I don't really know a whole lot about like the older systems, but I have heard about the older systems. Um, I got into Stellaris. I don't even know. I wouldn't be able to tell you what you actually. I probably could if I went onto Steam and saw where I bought the game, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But I've only played when I had the with the newer systems. I need to, man. I should probably try and put in the I should probably try to put in the effort to actually get it working on my Steam Deck because I don't really spend a whole lot of time on my computer outside of this, and I'm pretty sure it's a game that could work on Steam Deck because like if it's just controlled with a mouse, you can figure out a way to have it work on Steam Deck. So I really got to try it to see how well it plays. Um Although I don't know. I'm sure if I got to the later game in with a Steam Deck, the thing would probably just melt in my hands eventually anyways. So but yeah, the last time I was playing, I had an empire. I had one of those machine empires, the individualist machine empires. I had a run that was I'll be real with you, I'm not super good at the game, I would say. I've still not managed to beat the game ever. And that's not for a lack of trying like it is with RimWorld, because I really haven't tried to beat RimWorld. But I'm just it's such an in-depth game that even playing it as much as I have, which I don't have a whole lot of time, not comparatively, not compared to like what other people have. I have like I think a couple hundred hours in the game. And even with a couple hundred hours in the game, there's still lots of systems that I forget about or like I haven't engaged with at all. And there's just so many different ways to play the game, which is one of the reasons I love the game so much. But my last empire, I had my one of my main colonies had mole people on it, and they were bigoted mole people too, because the um yeah, I have almost 1,000 hours in RimWorld, so I can tell you a lot about that game. But Stellaris, I think I only have either 200 or 300 hours in it so far. Um, but yeah, I had bigoted mole people living under my planet, my one of my first colonies, and I know they were bigots because they were chasing some like religious minority, and they chased them all the way up to the surface, and their minority group was like up there for um seeking refuge, and I was kind of just like, look, I'm not getting caught up in mole people politics. I'm sorry, but like I don't want to run the risk of you guys like rising up out of the ground and causing problems for me. I have enough problems. That colony that playthrough ended up kind of failing because I didn't do my economy properly, and I had a bunch of like cascading uh like economic failures, I guess. Like I was running out of a lot of different resources, and it got out of control, and I didn't feel like continuing on with it. Um Although I so my more recently my favorite build so far has been to go with the what's it called? Um Diplomatic cores. Um yeah. That true. Look, I'm not getting caught up in mole people politics. They live underground and who knows what they can do down there. Um it's also funny because then like they also came to me for aid, like they were suffering from some like food shortages, and I didn't have any food because I'm a civilization of robots. So I'm not really sure what they were expecting, but yeah. Like also apparently you can't like buy food off of the global market. I thought you could, but you can't. It's like the only thing you can't buy, I guess. Or maybe I was doing it wrong. Who knows? Um, but I like going with the diplomatic core, um, civic. It's become one of my favorite things to just kind of like spam envoys and get as many as possible, because then I can send my envoys to do things like my closest neighbors. I'm just sending like I'm sending diplomats, and then I'm sending spies to literally everybody. Like you get a spy and you get a spy because I want because um oh, you need to produce it to be able to buy and sell it. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Because I could have sworn that you were able to buy food off of the global market. Because I could have sworn that I had done it in other playthroughs, and that must be it. I must have just I didn't realize that it was different for machine empires, as I guess the machine empires can't just go into the market and just buy some tomatoes. Um, but so I've been going diplomatic corps, and I send spies to everyone. And with the one of the most recent, I think it was the most recent pack that came out, the one that introduced the cosmic storms. I really like going the background that came with that pack. I think the little quest line that you get with it is neat, pretty cool. But I mean, the fact that it gives you increased sensor range, I've become addicted to knowing what everybody is doing at all times, so that they can't like sneak up on me and stab me, like has happened in some other playthroughs. So I have been going like just full on, because it's even more ridiculous because you get the increased sensor range because you can have your leaders have that one trait. I don't remember what it's called, but there's a trait that for like every rank of the leader that like increases your sensor range or something crazy. It's ridiculously powerful in my opinion. I think like I really I the, Sun Tzu is smiling upon me as I say that I'm pretty sure like information is probably one of the most valuable assets you can have. You know, it's hard for people to do any weird stuff and catch you off guard if you can see them at all times. And then I can also steal technology from them. Okay. So we have this place done. Let's go fix up our Steam area. We might want to I think I'm going to try and start expanding this a little bit as well. Slave society and accept refuge. Oh yeah. Yeah, I haven't messed around too much with like the immigration mechanics and like population stuff like that, like slave economies. I have done a few attempts at like at genocidal runs. I think okay, I low key I think the genocide runs are really helpful when you're starting out because you don't have to worry a whole lot about things like politics when everyone hates you. And it helps you learn like some of the more key mechanics of the game. Okay, I think we're going to expand this out. I've always one of the ones I really love the lithoids in the game. I really love like I've been wanting to like do something with lithoids and have them work out because I really just like a lot of the ways that they play. Like I Oh yeah, xenophobic state police state. Yeah. No, I was really into for a little bit of time. I was really into authoritarianism. Like specifically the imperialism, and it's because I got so annoyed at constantly having to deal with democratic elections. I was just like, that doesn't matter. We're gonna have one leader, and I'm not gonna have to worry about my best guy that I've been specifically giving traits so that he can be in charge of the nation. I'm not, or the species, I guess. I'm not gonna deal with that guy getting voted out because you guys don't like him or something. So I had some imperialist lithoids at some point, and that those guys were really fun. Maybe one of these days. I have been thinking, especially uh, once I get more popular and have more viewers and everything. Um, One of the things I want to do is I need to figure out things to do for like 'cause I'll probably have a Patreon at some point. I need to come up with things to do for Patreon, and I think stuff like that would be one of the things I would do. I have all of the DLC. I am unfortunately the kind of I have the level of disposable income where I will buy Stellaris packs as soon as they come out. It's a problem. I should. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to, depending on how well all this goes. Who knows how long I'll be able to sustain my Stellaris addiction. I've never played multiplayer though. That is one thing that I've never done. I have never played multiplayer. Um, I've just I had some friends a long time ago that played Stellaris. The funny thing is, I never played Stellaris when I was like friends with these guys. Um, I just mostly because of the cost. At that time, I didn't have the disposable income. Um, but uh, let's see. But like I kind of like lost contact with those friends over the years. Oh my god, Paradox Entertainment is Swedish? I'm really not surprised to hear that, but I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. Paradox, they make a lot of games. They make a lot of good games too. You've been to their studio? That's so cool. I want to go to Paradox Games' studio in Stockholm. I could go see I could do you guys watch Veilfisk? I'm guessing based on everything that you guys may know of the YouTuber Veilfisk. Let's see. More rhyolite bricks. Okay. This is definitely gonna have to be moved at some point, but right now is not the time for that. Veilfisk does a lot of stuff with Paradox Games. Yeah, and I like his videos. He does he did do one game. He does have one video where he played Stellaris. He played Stellaris and he turned it into a survival game. He basically had all the crises turned on and like turned up, and they started like almost immediately. I think they got like 20 years to prepare, and then like several crises started, and that was a really good video. Dude, if you guys, I think you guys would probably really like a lot of Veilfisk videos. He tends to play. You got to catch his videos where he's playing with other people. Unfortunately he's one of those content creators where by himself his videos are like okay, they're not bad, but like they're elevated by his cast of friends that he brings on all the time. There's this one German woman named Mavie who plays with them all the time, and she's probably my favorite character in the Veilfisk cast. She's very chaotic as well. And those videos are so chaotic. I'm sure you guys have heard of you guys have probably heard of Arma. They played the most dangerous game in Arma. So they had their subscribers. Veilfisk had his subscribers join this game, the people who are in his Discord. And it's this big game where like they were playing Arma 3 and they played on this giant island, and Veilfisk and his friends were the hunters, and the subscribers were like the prey, and they just went around hunting down everybody, and it was a competition to see who could last the longest in the game, and it was very funny. They have there was a lot of shenanigans. There were like several times when when they just crashed helicopters because they weren't like paying attention or something. There's another game they play pretty often called Intruder. I hadn't heard about this before I had watched Veilfisk's videos. Um, but Intruder's a really fun looking game. Because it's kind of like Counter-Strike, like very similar mechanics, except it has like balance mechanics. Like your character can lose their balance and slip and fall, and they could like die from that. And they play like some of the craziest stuff. Veilfisk, a lot of his videos are known as like they're kind of like they're like advertised as like torture videos, right? Like he gets these people together, and they are the most like torturous games you can think of. Like they played Uno Infinity, which is just Uno, but it has like a ton more cards. And that one was a really fun video too. But yeah, no, it's a great time. I love his videos. He's one of my favorite. I think he's one of my favorite content creators. He because like also he tends to put out long form content. He tends to put out like videos that are like an hour or 2 hours long. He doesn't do short form content very often, and personally, I think I'm a bigger fan of long form content than I am short form. If a video is less than 20 minutes, I probably don't really want to watch it. If it's over 40 minutes, I'm probably entertained. Probably part of the reason why I never got interested in TikTok. I just do not do I don't do short form content. Let's see. Okay, I have some plans for what we're gonna do here. All right, let's get some stuff going. I need more limestone. Good thing we have all that limestone. What time of year is it? It's summer. These pineapple plants should be giving me pineapples soon. These things look like they're about ready to pop. They're getting more pink. And then when they turn yellow, I'll have pineapples. Unlimited pineapples. You know what's crazy about pineapples? Um I I think I mentioned it a couple times before. I used to work in grocery at some point. When I was a wee young fresh adult. My first jobs were in grocery. I've worked every department in a grocery store aside from like the like overnight stocking and stuff like that. Uh so I did work in produce at some point, and I guess that fact doesn't really matter that much. But uh the crazy thing that I noticed is that pineapples will go on sale at the most random times. Yeah, that is true. They do kind of digest you a little bit, but they taste good, so I'm willing to forgive them on that. um, but pineapples go on sale at the weirdest times, and it's something that I didn't really think about until I was like working with pineapples often. Um, which I guess, yeah, I guess I did work with pineapples. Um, but so pineapples they'll go on sale. Like I saw them on sale for like Thanksgiving. So like in November, pineapples on sale. And you would think it would be like, oh, pineapple on sale in the middle of winter. That doesn't sound right. But then you remember that pineapples just the places where pineapples grow, they just grow year round. So it's like, huh, yeah. I guess pineapples do grow during this time of year. And it's always really funny because like I like to imagine it as like the people who grow the pineapples, like nobody's like most people aren't going to like think to buy a pineapple for Thanksgiving, right? Nobody like thinks of that because nobody thinks that pineapples grow year round. So it has to be that like the the pineapple producers probably don't sell as many pineapples during the winter. So that's probably why they go on sale. So like actually like winter is probably one of the better times to get pineapples because they're on sale, you know? All right, we got 3 days until this thing starts producing, and we'll see what happens. I love pineapples though. Really, I've never eaten a pineapple peel. I'll be honest with you. Um Oh man, I should get some pineapple. I bet that pineapple peel, even if I don't eat it, would be really good for my compost. I started compost recently. I'm excited about it. I I've been meaning to. Oh heck, there's so many. Man, isn't it the 19th already? Crud. I need to. Oh man, I've been so busy. I haven't gotten the chance to like start any of my seeds. I need to do that now because they need to start going into the ground by like mid March. Um, Actually, some of them can probably go into the ground earlier. Uh, it depends. I don't know when my final frost date is around here, but it tends to be pretty early. Let's see. And like lots of things can be planted before the final frost date. So that's why I need to get started on stuff. But I do have compost going. I did get my compost started. And I literally just dug a hole in the ground and put a trash can in it. And that's what I've been using as compost. I drilled some holes in it so it would get some nice airflow. Um, but like, yeah, it's just a trash can that I buried in the ground, and I've just been dumping my kitchen scraps into it, and so far it's been pretty good. The compost seems to be doing well. It it doesn't stink, and that's the main thing I'm worried about with the compost, because if compost starts stinking, I'm gonna get like my neighbors complaining, and we can't have neighbors complaining about things because then they'll like call the cops or something, and we don't need that. We don't need that kind of attention. Um, but oh shoot, I no, that is already bricked in. Hopefully some kind of worms live in there, making some better dirt. Hopefully. Hopefully they do move in. I haven't seen any bugs move into the compost bin yet. But it's probably because it's relatively new and it doesn't have a whole lot in it. But I am hoping that we get some more, because like right now it's not even like really up to a lot of the holes. Like I said, there are holes, so bugs can get into the compost, like because it's buried underground. Eventually bugs will start moving in there and making me some good dirt. But we're at the stage where we're just kind of trying to fill it up a bit right now. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I decided to do because I read about this kind of thing online where you can do it with the you can do the compost with like a container in the ground. I decided to go with that because I think it would be the best, because then I can keep my compost like contained in one area, so I know I'm getting like just the compost. But also the bugs will be able to move in and help with the dirt. I'll be real with you though, man. Let me tell you a story about my experiences with farming so far, because I don't have a huge amount of experience. Um, I don't have a huge amount of experience, but the one time I tried to grow some stuff outdoors. I tried to grow like potatoes in like containers. Um, it didn't work out. They ended up dying. It got really really hot uh for a little bit, and I should have just brought them inside, but being the inexperienced farmer that I am, I just kind of didn't really think about it. Um, Also, I have cats, and one cat is a digger, and she will try to dig into my plants if she gets the opportunity. Um, but then again, I guess I could have locked them in a room where that wouldn't affect them. Yeah, the poor potatoes, they died. They just straight up died from the heat. They just they just like, all right, this is too much for me. I'm going to simply perish. And it was a sad day. It was a sad day for all of us. But it's fine. I learned. That's the thing. The thing is that I haven't been very successful with my planting endeavors, but every single time I learn something new, and that I can take to the next time I try. And so these I had these potatoes in these containers, and I tried a couple different containers. So far, my favorite containers that I've been using are um I don't know how far reaching some of our American corporations are, so I don't know exactly how it works, if you guys would be familiar with some of these things. But we have I have, like I said, I have cats, and I get the litter comes in these big buckets. It's the like Purina, is it Purina? Tidy Cats, that's what it is. Tidy Cats is what I use for my litter. It's good litter, and it's relatively cheap, but it comes in these giant buckets, and I've always felt bad about these stupid buckets, because these buckets, they're huge, and you kind of just have to throw them out. Like, what are you gonna do with these, right? So I've been trying to find uses for these cat litter buckets, so that I don't have to just throw them out. Um, and oh, I don't have any clothes. My character's clothes decayed at some point. I gotta make some more. I gotta make some more burlap clothing. We'll do that once I get this roof on. Um, so I've been trying to find uses for those cat litter buckets once I use up all the litter, and they're pretty much they're a pretty good size for using as a plant pot plant pot. um because they're a decent size for a lot of plants. They'll be, you can fill it up with enough dirt that they'll be fine. Pet true. Um yeah, true. The only downside about the cat litter buckets is that they don't do very well in the sun, which as you know is where most plants need to be. So they do kind of start to break down pretty quickly. But considering they're already a waste product for me, I'm not too torn up about losing some over time because I'm constantly making more because I need the cat litter. I can't just like reduce my cat litter needs. I've already done as much as I can to do that, but like, you know, uh so let's see. We need more I need more wood. So let's go grab some more wood. Um but yeah, I've been using those. I did try something else. I did buy like a $20 tote from like Walmart. And it's one of those like it's like one of those like it's kind of like a double because for me the standard size totes are like not like the very long ones, but this one was like a longer one. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, the sun very good for plants, very bad for plastic. Um, but my what was it? What was I talking about? I was talking about plants and stuff. Oh yeah, so I got this big tote and I had this bigger tote that was filled with like more plants because I was wanting to see how well it would do, like what how well they do in different um containers. And honestly, I didn't really like that one that much, so I'm probably not going to really use that anymore for planting. I might just because I still have it, so I'll probably use it until it falls apart from sun damage. But um so I had it's this big tote that's like probably, it's like two like it's like if you had a person laying down, this tote would be uh actually I guess I could just give measurements. This tote was probably about a meter in length. Probably a meter and a half in length. And is that right? 3 feet? It's probably about a meter, maybe a little bit over a meter in length. Um, and so I go to water my plants that are in these totes. I'm going through, I'm watering my plants and all that, fun times. I've got my hose. I'm spraying water into the little plant area. So I go to this place and I go to spray some of the plants. And I typically, like I'm not going to just like willy-nilly just spray my plants however. I do like look at the plants while I'm spraying them, which is like an important note because like the dirt level was only about halfway up to the top of this tote. So I had to like kind of go over and like hover over the tote a little bit in order to like see my plants. So I'm like hovering over this tote and I go to spray and out from underneath one of the totes pops out this massive, just absolutely massive roach. This thing was big. This thing's bigger than my thumb. I'm like an average size person, so like it's not like my thumbs are huge, but this thing is about the size, like it's bigger than my thumb. And this thing jumps up and like it's just trying to get out of the way of the water. And like the roaches around here, because these big roaches, they're not a problem. Like they're not going into anyone's house normally and like messing things up. They're not those kind of roaches. They're the like predatory bugs. So like they're probably a good thing for the garden because like they're probably eating the other bugs that I don't want getting at my plants. So overall, this guy's probably a good thing. But I just remember when that happened, I like jumped back, and the first thought that goes through my mind upon seeing this massive roach was, man, maybe I don't want to be a farmer. I hadn't considered that I would have to deal with this level of shenanigans by being a farmer. That was the one thing that really tested my resolve. It's like it's like playing Darkest Dungeon. And your character's resolve gets tested is basically what happened in that moment. Oh man. But yeah, I don't know. I got over it, I guess. I that's a lie. I'm not over it. I'm still very that's one of the things every time I go to cuz the trash can that I'm using as a compost bin has it has a lid on it, obviously. But I make sure every time before I open that compost bin that I slap the top of the lid a little bit because I am like deathly terrified of the idea that I go to like open that bin one day and there's just a million